Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our conjunction series. Yesterday was a holiday. Salute to all our veterans. But back to work again today. In US, there's a Memorial Day holiday, when you honor all the veterans. So, for the honor for the veterans, I did not work. I just chilled at home. Now, today we're going to be doing our conjunction of Sun, Venus, and Ketu, meaning the south node of the moon, and what happens when these three planets are conjunct together. And as always, if you do not know what kind of conjunctions you have in your horoscope, planetary placements you have in your horoscope, what's going on in your horoscope, for that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, where on the second page you'll know exactly which sign each planet is placed in, so you'll know if you have a conjunction or not. And you'll also find my books, which are very helpful, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects at the Speed of Light, at this link down here with many more options. So, Sun, Venus, Ketu conjunction. And I'm going to pretend that this is a very tight conjunction, meaning these planets are like 5 to 10 degrees apart from each other. Because if your Sun is at 2 degrees, Ketu is at 5 degrees, Venus is at 28 degrees, it's a pretty loose conjunction. Yet still has its effect, but not to the extent you might think. And the meaning of this conjunction, as you know, is pretty much 50% of the information, because I do not know what sign this conjunction is happening in, what house this conjunction is happening in, what nakshatra this conjunction is in, what their positions are in the divinal charts. So everything will vary. But mainly what this shows, that this person's ego and self-esteem towards creating and wanting to create relationships in their life takes a long time to develop. They're quite shy about relationships. They're naturally fearful of relationships. No matter what relationship, I'm not just talking about marriage here. I'm talking about whatever relationship, because Venus is a significator of relationships that you form. And in astrology, Sun represents the father, your ego, your self-esteem, your pride, government, authorities. Venus represents your spouse, women, arts, media, creativity, luxurious things that make you feel comfortable. And then you have Ketu, the south node of the moon, which is literally is about isolation and letting go of material things, material gains, material relationships. It's about embracing the spiritual side of life. It's about embracing occult, mysticism, sorcery, yoga, meditation, just like all the things that not too many people go after is what Ketu is. It's that 0 point, that no gravitational point in our life. So when these three things come together, first of all, shows there's a lack of love and concentration through the father. Father was there, but he was just invisible. Like, he was just always busy in his work. He may not have physically abused you. He may not have mentally abused you, but he was just out. It's like your father is a president of the United States. You're hardly going to get to see him. So what happens is that the bond that is created with the father may not be there unless Sun is exalted. If Sun is in the sign of Leo or Aries, you will have a karmic relationship with the father, meaning you're here to complete your relationship with the father in this life, and the relationship could be of a best friend. You see how opposite this is. You have Sun in the sign of Libra, even though it's sitting with Venus, you will have that lack of love through the father if this conjunction is very close. Especially if Ketu is holding the highest degree and Sun is holding the lowest degree, meaning Ketu is coming closer to the Sun through its retrograde motion. So this is where you can have that lack of love and lack of interest in relationship with the father. But what this does is that the number one thing you want to take out of this relationship, or not this relationship, the number one thing you want to take out from this conjunction is you need to just wait. Don't be so hasty in wanting to be in love and getting married. And because if you really look at it, if you're, let's say, 24, 25 and you're in a relationship, just think about the fact how much you know about the other person. If you feel like, well, yeah, I don't know about him too much, he barely introduced me to his family, but we love each other so much. Again, take a step back and make sure you know the person 100% or the best to your ability. Don't create a hype of balloon full of, things that are non-existent. Because that's the thing. Ketu breaks the illusion that you're here to experience, like Saturn. Ketu kind of is the one that shows that I've already done this in the past. I don't need to really pursue these things. But because Sun is present, because that ego is there, the ego needs to feed these two planets. This is why there's just such a confusion with this person, whether to be in a relationship, whether not to be in a relationship. These are the people who will be most confused if you propose to them within a month. Unlike me, I proposed to my wife within 2 weeks, I think, and she said yes. Because I just knew this is the person that I was going to marry. But this is the person who will procrastinate a lot in making their decision related to relationships of all kinds. Business relationships, professional relationships, intimate relationships. But there's just this sense of foundation that says, I don't really need this, but still I'll go for it. If it was just Venus and Ketu conjunction, it would have been like, not really interested in relationships right now. Nah. But now that Sun comes into play, the ego needs to be fed. Ego related to relationships need to be fed. You still feel like, I need to be in a relationship and I need to dominate the relationship. And the thing is, this person actually gets a very dominating person. Just because they are dominating as well, but mainly the person that they're with really dominates them in a very authoritative way. Like, you belong to me. You are chained by me. And that is it. I'm putting my stamp on you. Why? Because Ketu, like if Mars is the charging army, Ketu is the army that is already settled on the hill. It's like, that's it, you're mine. So you come across people who already think they own you. And this is where problem starts. Because you as a person will be like, no, you don't own me. No. Stop trying to control me. You haven't conquered me yet. And this is the dilemma where Ketu's energy, if it's really close to Venus, a person needs to wait till this energy calms down, because Ketu is a quite explosive energy. Ketu actually represents terror attacks and bombs and whatnot. So what this tells us in astrology, that you want to wait till these planets calm down, like Mars, Saturn, and Ketu, not necessarily Rahu. Rahu is actually best friends with Venus. Ketu is the opposite. And at least after the age of 29 to 32 is when this energy will settle in, where you will find people who are less controlling in your life. But you also will notice that this person is naturally gifted with some artistic talent. They will be either naturally gifted with singing talent, painting talent, acting talent, playing some musical instrument talent. They may not pursue it. They might be accountants, but at some parties when they sing, people were like, whoa, what are you doing? Be an accountant. Be a professional singer. Because whenever Ketu is conjunct any planet, you are here to fulfill some unfinished business related to that planet from past life. So if, let's say, Ketu is far more closer to Venus than Sun, if Sun is at 2 degrees, Ketu is at 25 degrees, Venus is at 24 degrees, that means Venus is the one that is getting this heavy karma of Ketu. This is why we have degrees, to estimate who is paying the heavy karma. So Venus is paying the heavy karma shows the things that you're going to attract in your life, in this life, whether it's relationship, arts, media, luxurious items, they're all going to be owed to you from past life, or you're going to go owe something to them in this life. And this actually confirms itself if you look at the Sastyamsha chart, the D60 chart. If Venus Ketu are both conjunct, Most 100% you're here to pay a certain karma related to spouse or wealth and art. Perhaps you're going to marry, most likely you are going to marry somebody you knew in past life as a lover, as your wife, as your spouse, and you somehow didn't finish something in the past life and you're here to fulfill it. But because sun is there, there's always going to be this notion of authoritativeness. And the people that you come across as your spouse will feel like they somehow need to control you, somehow need to, own you in a way. In later age, it calms down a lot. But the planetary energy is always there. This is why when you're young, these planets are hot. Sun is hot. Ketu is ready to just explode. It's that silent bomb just ready to go off. This is why people need to be very careful when they go into relationships. You can't just say, kind of like the movie Frozen, you can't just go and have one dance and say, I love you and let's get married. No. Know a person with this placement for at least 4 or 5 years. Know their family in and out. Know all their peccadillos. Because once you know everything, that's when the right decision will be made with this. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Sun, Venus, Ketu conjunction. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your conjunction is, all my reports, books, consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, I guess. Bye-bye.